Hi everybody! My plan for my next video was going to be putting components from that PC I took apart into my son's computer, but none of them are better than the components he currently has. So instead, I thought I would watch the Verge's PC build video. It's about 2 years old now, and I've heard a lot about this video. I've heard it's hilariously awful, but I want to see for myself. I guess we'll just see if I agree with most people that it's an awful video or not.
You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000.
Okay, so this is a $2,000 build. A pretty damn nice computer.
What do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table. Preferably not metal. If it's going to be metal, have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator, an Allen wrench, some tweezers to tighten up the wires.
Those aren't tweezers, those are zip ties.
A Swiss Army knife, which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it.
Hopefully, just get a Phillips screwdriver. Don't just grab something and hope for the best. Also, what is he using that Allen wrench for? What do you use an Allen wrench for in a PC? All I can figure is maybe his case in order to get into it. You know, maybe to like get into it, you need the Allen wrench. Otherwise, I can't think of anything where you would use an Allen wrench. Comment below if I'm being stupid and you've used an Allen wrench in a PC before.
And last but not least, an anti-static bracelet, which is to protect you and the parts.
What is that? That's just a rubber band.
More importantly, before we get there,
just putting a rubber band on your wrist does not automatically ground you, just so you're aware. That's not going to prevent any static electricity.
The processor is like the computer's brain. The motherboard is like the foundation, serving as a main structure for all other parts to be added to. Graphics cards are responsible for rendering and processing visuals into what you see on screen. Our PC's power supply is of course channeling electricity. Last but not least, RAM, or random access memory, and your hard drive are good examples of short-term and long-term memory.
Okay, he did explain the parts pretty good. Fairly textbook definitions, but I'm glad he did his research there.
We have a lot of boxes and a lot of PC parts, so it's best you unbox them, isolate the parts that you really need, place items into the case, and make sure that they all fit, and then start working.
I would probably figure out the dimensions before you buy everything.
Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them, and screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack the board. I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard.
So far, so good. So he's not necessarily doing anything wrong, but it's always easier to put your components on the motherboard before you put it in the case.
You can't align the motherboard correctly with
although not completely necessary.
So next we're going to install the RAM on the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM.
Ooh, fancy LED. Everyone knows LED improves performance.
Open the slots first, and just aligning the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end, and just lining that up with the logo. So once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold connectors on the side anymore, that's when you know the RAM is in. Step 3, we're going to install the hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD.
We're going to install the hard drive, but it's actually a solid state drive.
The motherboard without having to worry about extra wires or putting it in a separate part of the case and just getting really messy.
Look how he's struggling to like get around the case. That's why it's so much better to put it in before you put it all together and then put the motherboard in the case. Just easier.
And so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the gold connectors, and you're going to line this bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it. I just think it looks nice. Click down. You don't have to screw these in. They get bolted down by the back end bracket. And your GPU is installed.
That's different in every computer case.
There's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads so that the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
What?
Little insulating pads.
Okay, that's not what those pads are for. Those are there for noise reduction.
So the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
Like, electricity doesn't it doesn't flow through the case like that.
So just take it in, slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the required screws and you tighten and screw in. So next step, we're going to install the CPU cooler. In this case, it's going to go on the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose hang out for a little while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Always be sure to try to place it in the system first before you install it, because you can see it takes up a lot of space. But in this case, no pun intended, it fits in perfectly, and we're going to start screwing it in. And so there's nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws because they go through the entire frame of the cooler, and they take forever.
My man, those are simply not the right screws.
Every power supply is going to come with a big bag of Velcro cables. It's kind of daunting.
I wish that were true. Unfortunately, it's not. I wish that were true and that every power supply came with those cables that you could insert yourself. But actually, a lot of power supplies come with the cables all inside the PSU, and so like it'll just have this huge mess of cables coming out the back end. If you're not familiar, you know, maybe you need to replace a PSU or something and you're watching this and you're terrified because you're like, how am I gonna know what cables I need? There are PSUs that do not come with a big bag of Velcro cables, whatever that means.
The next few additions will be for the GPU, for any specific ports that the case has, for any lighting that the case has, the CPU cooler, anything else really. We're installing the CPU, the heart of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it.
I think of them
So
as
to
the
do
brain.
this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they put on the motherboard. We're just going to take this little plastic part out. We'll just toss that out of here. And we're going to use the CPU applicator. This is a special little part that not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS definitely does have. It's called a CPU installation tool. It makes it really useful if you want to install a Core i7 hexa-core CPU. Yeah, we've got one, and it's an 8th generation chip, and it's ready to go, and it supports overclocking, thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied in a circle around it, but it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC building practice to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
I'm not okay with the way that he's putting that on there. Amount-wise, it was a little bit much. I'm pretty picky about the way that I apply my thermal paste. If you guys watched my how to remove a CPU stuck onto a heatsink, then I think you guys know why I'm pretty particular about my heat paste. I wouldn't apply mine like that. Oh gosh, now it looks awful. It looks like he added more. Oh god, now it looks terrible. No, now there's way too much.
Here, and they're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it.
Wait, what? What? Is it raised off the processor or is it in contact? Just kidding, I know it's in contact.
And just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass, side glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all this fun stuff is happening. So we fully built the PC, everything's put together, and we got to the post screen. So what's next? Well, you need a USB flash drive with your Windows installation media on it, and of course a license key. So I plugged that up, installed Windows in a couple of minutes, installed a bunch of drivers, and now we have a fully functioning gaming PC ready to run some games.
Okay, so he put it together. It wasn't terrible, I guess. Okay, the reason that this video caused so much outrage in the PC community is because it is a sponsored video. I mean, it looks like Capital One sponsored this for The Verge, but it seems like they got someone who has literally never built a PC before in his life to do this video. How hard would it have been to find someone who actually has built a PC to do this video? There's plenty of us out there. They just pulled this guy. They're like, you look nerdy enough. You could probably build a PC. He definitely said some things that didn't really make sense. Oh, also, I didn't see him use the Allen wrench, did you? No, you don't need an Allen wrench. I knew he wasn't gonna use that. That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like it, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you feel about the Verge's PC build video. Did you think it was as horrible as everyone said? Let me know in the comments. And let me know if you guys have any ideas or any kind of videos that you guys want me to do. I'll see you next time. Bye!